Good morning and welcome to What's Good Sacramento. You're here with Mac the Mortgage Man and your local Sacramento realtor, Lisa. Lisa, how you doing today?
Hi, good morning, Mac. I'm doing great. Well, that's right. We're coming to you live, bringing to you not only education on real estate and home loans, but we're also bringing to life and giving a real pulse to the greater Sacramento area. You know what, Mac? Let's talk a little bit about real estate and interest rates. Tell us, what can we look forward to on today's current interest rates?
Absolutely. Let me go ahead and bring up what the rates are looking like today. So, as always, guys, there's a lot of places that you can find what the rates are looking at, but I'm a big fan of Mortgage News Daily. They have pretty accurate stuff. Now, keep in mind that when it comes to interest rates, um, these are typically designed on good borrowers. They're typically designed on people that are putting down a decent amount of money, but it is a good snapshot of where the market currently is, right? So, what we're currently looking at, and what most people like to see are the 30-year fix or the conventional loans. That's kind of the best loan where we want to be. And so we're sitting at a 6.9. That's down a little bit from where we were last week, right? We got up
Right.
over 7 for a little bit there.
I think you
So
scared us all, put us into shock.
yeah, I know, right? It got up there, but it's adjusting a little bit. And then we can see some of the other things here, right? We have our 15-year fix. It's always a little bit lower, 30-year. Jumbo, we got our 5-1 arms. We don't do a lot of work on arm work because we like to get people like straightforward loans. But if possible, or if you need it, there's an option. We have our 30-year FHA, which a lot of people do go through. And you can see we have a slight adjustment in the positive there, and then our 30-year VA as well. And this is why I really like this website. You can kind of see where the adjustments have been, and you can sort of follow it. And using my experience in the real estate market, this was how I was able to buy my house at the lowest interest rate point. I actually bought within 3 days of the lowest that interest rates went down. So this is a really good resource. Definitely would make sure you guys save it. Again, this is Mortgage News Daily. So those are our rates. They're looking pretty good. Excited for where things are going now. The Feds are going to meet again, and when they do meet, it looks like the rates will likely go up. But until then, we're just going to do what we can, right, Lisa?
Yes.
We're gonna kind of do that. So. Um, you want to tell us a little bit about what's going on in the greater Sacramento as far as it has to do with real estate?
Yeah, absolutely. So Sacramento's average median sold price in today's current market, current versus previous year to date, is sitting right at 585,000. Now today's year to date is 566. So you can see a slight variance there, about 3.2% decline in the sold prices currently on the market. So again, just like we spoke about last week, what does this mean for us when we're talking interest rates, what the current sales prices to get into a home, to buy? Opportunity, folks. There's still a window of opportunity. Yes, you may need to lock in your rate and get a little creative with your loan officer, Mac, so that you can find a mortgage loan that's suitable for you, that's affordable. But at the same time, hey, if you can purchase a house slightly cheaper than it was a year ago, that's opportunity, right? So, Mac, in the area that we're talking about, we're going to look at Sacramento, right? Tell us about some area information on there.
Today, we want to focus a little bit on downtown Sacramento, but we all kind of know downtown Sacramento isn't like one of our real pocket communities, although it does have its own kind of life and its own flavor. But when we're looking at how many people are generally in that area, we're looking at about 23,000 people, which is quite a bit of people when we're looking at just a small area. Now, we're not, we don't have as large of an area as, let's say, somewhere like San Francisco, where you may be used to, but it's still quite a bit, right? And when we're looking at the median price, and now this is probably, I would guess, one of the most expensive median renting prices in Sacramento. Um, Maybe if you get a house that's relatively large, obviously that's going to be larger. But when we're looking at kind of the median rent, we're looking at 1976,
Yeah, no, that's up to I think
$1,976.
about my first mortgage loan. I'm like, wait a minute, this is renting prices? That's crazy.
Yeah, it's a lot. And so, definitely for people that are looking to continue to rent, prepare for those kind of, especially if you want to be in the downtown area going into the midtown area. I know that when we lived in midtown, when we lived in a two-bedroom, one bath. Granted, it was one of the nicer apartment complexes that were down there. And we were there originally because of my wife moving here, and that's where they put up their employees. When her 6-month lease end, they wanted her to pay $2,200 a month. Yeah,
Yikes.
for that, and so we moved to a one-bedroom apartment right down the street. We lucked out super hard. We were right on the street, right literally in the pocket of Midtown, and, it was amazing, but it was still about $1,500 a month. So renting is getting more, and that's been a couple years now, 3 years now. So renting is getting more expensive, right? But
Mm,
when we're looking at downtown Sacramento, right? And we've talked about this before, Sacramento is showing up on the list, right? They're showing up on
mm.
all of these magazines, all of these websites as the number one city in California to live, right?
Yeah.
Quality of life, affordability, the population's great, jobs, right? We have a lot of great job sectors. And we have a ton of growth. And so the downtown area, as a lot of people may know, still needs some kind of revitalization.
Mhm.
But for the most part, it's looking pretty good and things are really coming up. And we have a couple things here, right? We're ranked the number one city for new small business startups by Lending Tree, and the number one game-changing place to live by Sunset Magazine. And again, these are just like a couple of them, right? And this was a big thing that you and I were dealing with, where when this was very exclusive to Sacramento and maybe other people on this list, but you might remember this when we were going through, the pandemic, and we were already dealing with really weird scenarios with like how we had to go into properties and how we had to deal with people. And then on top of that, we're dealing with, 50 offers on one property and cash buyers
Mhm.
coming in and saying, don't worry about it. Here's $50,000 in cash over asking. Um, we were also dealing with the fact that we were coming out in magazines as the number one place to move, and so
Right.
it was a weird time. I mean, do you remember that?
I do very, very clearly. And you know what's crazy? It makes me think about the huge growth in the entertainment section that downtown has to offer. Have you heard of what's coming up this summer season in downtown Sac at the rail yards?
What's coming up?
Well, this 916 is an entertainment group and they focus on summer block parties. They're like huge and it's crazy. It reminds me of like back in the day when you go to like festivals, you travel 6 hours, go to the desert, right?
Mm.
Now they're bringing venues right here. And what's crazy is when you look at their website, you're like, that's Sacramento. That's so nuts. It just looks like you're in a whole different area, right? So it's really for those music enthusiasts that want to go out and just have a good time, listen to a lot of good live DJs from out of area. I know about a year ago, they had a huge DJ come out and play over here. And it's just crazy to think like the price point for these tickets are like 20 bucks. It's like nothing to have a full evening of entertainment. And that's something that's to me as an outsider moving into the area. I'm like, man, with all the growth and everything that SAC has to offer and continues to grow, it's very attractive. So I could see why, as you mentioned, we're getting rated top rated number one for different sale points, like not only entertainment but businesses. So if you're a small business trying to grow, I mean, this is definitely an area to look at.
Well, the other thing too, I don't know if it's run by them specifically, but when I did live in Midtown, there were 2 big events that would happen that are very similar. I mean, 3 really, if you count Country in the Park, or not Concert in the Park. Uh,
Yes.
if you count that, that's one big event relatively close to us, but the other one was in the Lavender District. They would block off the area and they would have a big event there. I wanna say at least once a month, especially during the summertime, a big block party, just like what you're talking about. And then the other one is in the Icebox district, which is a relatively newer developed area. Um,
Super nice.
yeah, near
Yes.
the Midtown area, a
Mm.
lot of apartments out there. We'll talk about that another time, but another block party that was out there. So you're starting to see these a lot more here in Sacramento, where we're really utilizing our street space in the evenings for people to come and enjoy themselves and have fun. Yeah.
Exactly.
So, a lot of great things going on here. That reminds me, Lisa, why don't we go ahead and talk a little bit about some of the community and activities that are going on out here?
Absolutely. So it's almost officially summer, right? June 21st is summer. I don't know about you, but the weather is super crazy to me. I'm like, I don't know how to feel day by day. I'm like, do I put a sweater on? Am I going to be hot in the afternoon?
Yeah, I don't know
Either way.
what's going on. We opened our pool, right? Because it's
And
the
then you
time
closed
to
it.
open
No.
your pool. No, exactly. And then it rained.
Yes.
And then we had to like fix everything. And then because we had to wait so long, like it messed up all of the balances in our pool. And now we're like, okay, cool, everything's balanced. And then this week, it's cold again. I mean, not cold, but like it's
It's
under 80s. It's not like getting in the pool weather, right?
right.
So
Right.
yeah, it's the weirdest thing. And I'm like, okay, when are we? I told this is what I'm most concerned about is are we gonna die this summer? Like,
Oh my gosh.
like, is
Stop.
it gonna get to 100 because the weather's so weird right now? I'm like, are we gonna
It
get to
is.
120 here in Sacramento this summer, or is it gonna be 100 degrees going into October? Like, what's going on? So, yeah, here, find your local weather report here at What's Good Sacramento.
And your really positive, upbeat take on it.
Yeah,
But when we're talking about hot and we need it to get a little hotter, and I'm not asking for the 110-degree weather, I'm just asking for it to be a little more stable. But
right.
let's talk about what's hot in mid downtown area, right? So let's check out the Doco. Have you been over there? Oh my gosh, it is so cool. It's got everything from restaurants. They have outdoor DJs. I didn't even know this. Last year I was out there shopping, right? They sectioned off the whole area outside where they have the little upper stairs patio in front of the arena. And they had a live DJ. They had all this salsa dancing, and everybody that was just walking just came through. Again, it was that like live, almost like block party, but just of dancing. It was
Right.
so cool.
Well, if you're
And then,
old school, right?
yeah.
If you're old school, Doco is the old K Street Mall area,
Yes.
which used to be, well, I think there's still like some remnants of it. But it used to be kind of
Macy's.
like a really weird hangout area for like the homeless and the youth who would be out there and just like, I don't know, there wasn't like to me, I was like, this is a really weird area. This is a
It
really
doesn't
weird
feel
area.
right.
Yeah. I was like, I
I'm not
don't
taking my
really
kids
it's
here.
not nice enough for what I would consider like a downtown area, but
Right.
that is not the case anymore, right? That entire
No.
area has been revitalized and it's beautiful and it's a little expensive. And I love it because um there's fun stuff to do, but and I'm sure you're gonna talk about that. But also I go to the 24-hour in downtown
Do
sometimes.
you?
I
Okay,
do.
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
And so, for
Well, I'm
me
a Calfit, so there you go. So they're
so
both
you're
right
yeah,
there.
you have the
We're right
downtown
there.
you have the downtown one as well. And so, for me, it was always kind of like granted, I park in the garage, but when I lived in Midtown, I used to bike there in the morning and I'd be like, "Jesus, this is like I'm like navigating around some very odd stuff here in the morning trying to get to this gym." So, it's a much cleaner, much nicer, area, and I haven't had an opportunity to eat at a lot of places over there, but I have been to, they have a bowling alley right around there,
Oh,
and,
really?
I've been
Okay.
there, and that was cool, and I've done that's where I first did VR was, at one of the bars there.
Oh,
So, a
sweet.
little space, and then
Yeah.
obviously the stadium's there, right? Uh,
Yes.
so I've been to a concert there, but
I've been to quite a few venues there, and it's just such a awesome setup. Yeah, some of the highlights in that little Doco shopping center area, the champagne bar, Fizz Champagne,
mm,
looks super cute, very trendy, very hip. So if you want to just, have a girls' day out, or you want to go on a couple's date, or just, unwind after a work week, if you work in the area, you can go hit up that champagne bar. And they also have Bubbles Bar. They have concerts in the park, like we mentioned. So those happen, and you got to look at their website to get the details on that. But I think you are right, Mac. They do host a lot of the other venues in the area. But one thing that was new to me this last year, which was super cool, was one of my girlfriends inviting me out, right? And she's like, Lisa, I've got the perfect spot for us to meet up. And because we're like mature working adults, we have to schedule
Mhm.
all the time. So it's very important that we meet these dates, right? So
Right.
she's like, don't worry, keep the calendar date. Meet me here at this bar at this time. So we go to a speakeasy. I've never been to one. And I was like, oh my gosh, what are we doing? I'm so excited. Have you ever experienced one like that, Mac?
I have well, there's like kind of I don't know real speakeasy because we're talking about it, right? And a speakeasy is supposed to be where nobody really knows about it and it's a secret. So, but yeah,
Right.
I have, right? So, um, the one that I kind of first comes to mind is in downtown. I think it's called the Bank, which is
Um,
there's a bar up top, but then there's a bar but downstairs as well, which kind of has that speakeasy feel to
mm,
it. Um, but and then there's another place in downtown, the name is escaping me right now, but I've been there a couple times, and the vibe in there is very speakeasy. But I think what you're talking about is kind of the, like, hey, the nudge, nudge, uh,
yeah, it's
secret
cool.
handshake thing, and, you know what? For the sake of not kinda revealing where it is, I will say that it's in the Midtown to downtown area, and
Mhm,
it is attached to a restaurant. I'm sure that you can figure it out. But for people that are like, let's keep it a speakeasy or whatever, we'll
mhm.
do that. But I have been there. I've been there with my wife, and we took some friends there, and it is very cool. And for
It
me, I was a gin drinker, and so they had a bunch of cocktail gins.
yeah,
They really develop the story around the drinks that are there. And,
right.
from what I heard, because I went there relatively close to when it opened, they, pulled a lot of the best bartenders in Sacramento to come work at this place. Now, it isn't cheap, and there are some drink minimums that you have to meet, but for, maybe once a year, a couple times a year, or if you're rich and you wanna go there all the time, um it is a really cool place, and, it only serves drinks, and so if you want food, there is a place attached to it that's the not secret place, and they have, pretty good food there, and, but yeah, it's pretty cool. So you went there then?
I did. So she surprised me with it. I thought we were gonna go eat, and then all of a sudden they walk you back to this little room that looks like, their cleanup room with their
Yeah.
mops and
Like,
stuff, and there's
is
a
it time to get
door.
murdered? What's going on right
Like,
now?
what are we doing? What? I don't have to use the bathroom. And it's all dark down. They say a little spiel and then they open a door and it just opens it up to a whole new world. And it's like a whole bar. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. And it was just such a cool experience. I think there a million times over. I'm like, man, every time we get together, it's just such a great time. I definitely say that these are some of those activities or outings that you can do if you like the more urban feel or vibe to life, right? You want to live in an area close where you can entertain, there you go. That's what they have to offer. So, Mac, all right, let's jump into projects and existing projects that are coming up in the downtown area.
Alright, so we got a lot of things going on, a lot of development around here in Sacramento. If you're driving around, you might be experiencing that on the freeway, if you're driving around at certain times. But some of the things that we're going to kind of talk about is what's going on in downtown, right? We're hearing there's a lot of new buildings, a lot of new development coming on. We know more directly there's big projects at the rail yards, which we've been, when I used to co-own a business in Midtown, and this was starting in 2000 and let's see, when did I 18, 15, like 15, I think, something like that. We were looking at the rail yard area. We're like, it's kind of a dump down there. It's right there near the river. We think the land is sort of toxic. We're not super sure. And
But we might want to risk
yeah,
it.
but the cost to be out there was cheap, right? To, like,
Right.
develop or, like, oh, like, this could be, like, a good area to really pick up something great, and it got all snatched up by developers, right?
Yes.
Which
They were thinking
rightfully
the same
so.
thing, Mac, but they took the
Yeah.
risks.
Well, they had the
Mhm.
money, right? That's the big thing. Gotta have those Benjamins to get into the
Right.
so, but yeah, the area out there, there's already some stuff going on out there, and I like that area because I used to drive through there a lot to get to West Sac from where I was, for my job, to get to my wife's job, to pick her up and things like that back in the
Mhm.
day when we were still dating. And so, I drove through there a lot, probably more than most people, and it was trash. I mean, that's really what it is, right? But there's a lot of developments going on there. So specifically, on AJ on the corner of 6th Street and Rail Yard Boulevard. I don't know if you guys know where that area is, but again, it's in the downtown area, kind of as you're getting close to the bridge that we talked about that's going to get redeveloped, going into West Sac, right? The I Street
Mhm.
Bridge. Uh,
Yep. Connecting the dots, guys.
yeah, there you go. There's gonna be a development out there. So 30 or 345 residential units, 5,000 square feet of commercial space. And some of the things we're not super sure about yet, right? That might kind of accompany that is the Republic gonna be out there? Like, we don't really know. And we can kind of already see the format for that, right? These new properties that are coming in. With where if we look at the Rivercat Stadium, right? There's properties not that far from them. It's very close. So it's not inconceivable to think that there's going to be properties and there could be a stadium there still. We'll kind of see what that's going to look like, but if it does come to fruition, we're looking at, you know, a lot of sports games, more concerts, a lot of things like that. So it could be really great, but back to the development, right? I mean, we're going to have traditional stuff. We're going to have fitness centers, we're gonna have dog washing stations. We're gonna have swimming pools. We're gonna have, bicycle parking, and that's
They
very
thought about you. They thought
yeah,
about you bicycling.
yeah. They're and this is this sort of similar what's going on over by in West Sac, right?
Right.
They're being a lot more common. And Sacramento is becoming a lot more bike friendly. Sort of
Yeah.
like Davis is like if people know Davis for bikes, right? People
Mhm.
ride bikes there. So we're kind of getting a little bit more like that, which if you love to bike is great. And if you hate bikers on the streets,
Don't
that
hit
yeah,
them.
may not be great for you. So we'll kind of see what that's gonna look like. But yeah, there's gonna be kind of this, we kind of describe as this urban development, kind of the, bigger city feel that's happening down in that area. But we're looking, at these two-story retail spaces. And this is the interesting thing about, and this is what I've been telling people for a couple of years, is what makes the most sense in Sacramento to revitalize downtown and other areas that have only retail and there's no residential with them.
Right.
And the reason they're failing is because there's just not enough people to feed the business there,
Mhm.
especially when we're looking at downtown and the pandemic happened and all of the state workers essentially weren't there to feed the business. What they're trying to do now is build residential high rise, right? All of these apartments and condos and townhomes and partner them with commercial property, right? So maybe the commercial
Yeah.
property sits underneath or right next to it. And that's likely exactly what we're going to see in this area because it makes the most sense to continue to grow the downtown space. So a lot of interesting things coming. I'd love to hear kind of where you're at on this.
Yeah, Sacramento is definitely expanding. And another project that's coming up is the Rio Sacramento Downtown Commons project. They're working with the Architect House and Robertson as the architects for that project.
Mm,
So they're transforming Sac into a 6 block radius of entertainment and sports complex. That's the plan for this
mm,
project, right near the Docos. So actually, I was driving by the other day and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's the building. It's like gorgeous. And the first and second floor are really designated for like retail and restaurants, which
mm,
I think, as you're saying, it piggybacks the idea of how are you going to attract to the business. Well, you've got the residential suites, and actually what they're doing is really smart.
mm,
Hotel second and third floor amenities, office space, which is even smarter because you've got everybody right there, right? Whether I work locally or I'm visiting from out of town, that's definitely going to drive business. So again, emphasis on how Sacramento's looking at it as a whole for growth and development. Definitely to small business ventures, hey, these are opportunities, right? So then it goes on to share that like 250 hotel rooms are
Mhm.
accommodating from their floors 5 to 11. And if you drive by the downtown area, you could just see it's really massive, but it's actually quite beautiful for a building. And I don't say that about many buildings, but it just looks really pretty. And then, that kind of just taps us into, okay, so what else is going on? I mean, I love everything you guys are talking about. It feels really cool. And if you're thinking about moving to Sacramento from out of area and you're like, yeah, I like the urban downtown vibe. How do I get my foot in the door? Where can I buy? Well, I want to introduce the community. It's a reasonably priced new community. It's called The Cove. It's about 3 miles north of downtown Sacramento. Emphasis is put on Edgewood at The Cove. They're townhomes. Hey, goes right along with the downtown or Sacramento downtown vibe, right? Urban living. So, townhomes that you can get your foot into minutes from Sacramento. Um, Neighboring restaurants, you've got shopping areas and parks, and just think about the developments that we just talked about. It's all going to be right there for you. You can ride your bike, right? Right
Mhm.
there. 3 miles is not too far. I run 3 miles. It's like, hey, that's great. So the price point in the starting range for this development, this community of townhomes, is ranging about a little over 474,000. So they start with the smaller version of the townhome, 2-story, 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2-car garage. And I think that's awesome because I've lived in a townhome over on the East Bay when I was first getting on my own at like 20, and we didn't have a car garage attached. So that was a little like discouraging, especially of multiple cars. So I thought this is really cool that they've incorporated that and they consider that in developing the plan, right? So the square footage on these properties range from 1656. And then we jump to their largest floor plan. So if you're looking for a bigger home, more of like that open, spacious feeling, they've got the floor plan, the 3X. The price point jumps up a little bit, but it's still reasonable. It starts at 420, or excuse me, 520. So that offers a three-story townhome, 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath, and that's a 2-car garage too. So the square footage does increase. It's about 2001 square feet. That's a little shy of my first home. So it's a good size house. And what I thought was super cool is how they've considered the floor plan 3 stories. I think that's so cool. It gives its own feel like to your lifestyle,
It's
right?
very European to build up.
You're right. You are right. England, they have three plexes. Yeah, like
Well,
there.
even most of their properties, so, like, what we traditionally have here are one-star, they call those bungalows, and,
Yes.
they're very confused when they see all this because 'cause they're very rare in England because there's not a lot of space, right? So they have to build upwards. So this style is, I think we're starting to adapt that, which makes sense because there's only so much space in the areas that they're trying to build in, right? And yeah, those sizes for those prices, I mean, those are both bigger than my house.
Right? I was
Yeah.
like, hey,
Now
this I
they're
gotta talk about.
they're building upwards, right? I mean, we're like I said, we're all flat here, so it's a bit of a different feel, but even then, I mean, that's still a lot of square footage, 2,000 square feet in a townhome.
Yeah.
That's huge. So I think that and the prices, yeah, I get it for a lot of people that's not affordable, but for where you're gonna be, for what you're looking at, brand new builds, it's pretty good price.
Yeah. So if you're interested at all in finding about more information on this particular community or any other new developing communities, and maybe you don't want new and maybe you just want to see what's out there in Sacramento, you know who to call, Lisa. So, Mac, what do we have to look forward to next week?
Well, I don't think that we should divulge kind of what's going on every week, right? We want to get people excited. If you guys aren't following us, we do have our Facebook page, and that is What's Good Sacramento. You guys can follow us there. You could follow myself. Well, if you want more information or you want to book an appointment with us, you can go to macthemortgageman.com. That has some stuff about kind of our partnerships as well as some places to book, right? Or you can email us directly. My email is mac at orbitfinancial.com or .biz. Sorry, mac at orbitfinancial.biz. I always mess that up because there's like nothing has biz at the end. And what's your email?
Listings by Lisa number one at gmail.com. You can
That's right.
also DM me, hit me up on listings underscore by underscore Lisa on IG. And then again, we always like to gear our audience back towards our Facebook page, What's Good Sacramento, and you can DM us there and we can reach out and follow up with you folks.
Absolutely. So, as our audience keeps growing, because we know you guys are loving what's coming out, we do want to make sure that we're providing opportunities for people that are interested, people that want to lay the foundation to own a home. It's becoming more and more difficult to become a homeowner in California, in Sacramento, which is one of the number one demand cities to want to live with. And it's becoming more difficult, and people feel a bit hopeless about that, especially people that are, kind of in their early 30s, their mid 30s, that are kind of feeling like, all right, I'm ready to buy, but they're not really ready to buy, right? So I would really recommend starting that roadmap to homeownership, getting prepared with us. Let us set that foundation for you for over the next couple years. And while doing that, we can do a credit report analysis with you. Lisa can do a community report analysis with you. We can get you set up to find success. And one of the other things that I'm kind of working with people right now, and granted, I'm not a credit repair specialist by any means. We just happen to deal with this quite a bit, is helping align people their credit, because it's extremely important when purchasing a home. Align their credit with programs that are coming out or are out. So all these are all things that we can help you with. And if you're thinking, well, I'll reach out to them tomorrow, don't reach out today, because you're not going to reach out tomorrow. Let's be realistic. You're not going to reach out the next day. You're probably going to reach out when you decide you want to buy, and you're going to find out that your credit is terrible, that you haven't saved enough money, and that you're not prepared. I mean, let's be realistic. That's what we deal with a lot, and we really hate to do that. Granted, I mean, we'll do it and we will help you every way we can, but we hate to see where we could have helped you a year ago, save, $200 a month and $10,000 on your down payment, right? So let us help you. Lisa, I don't know if you have anything on that. I know I'm kind of going off on it, but I'm very passionate about getting
Yeah.
people set up for success.
Honestly, I think that what we have to offer is truly just value and education. And so there really is no wrong way of steering yourself when you're looking to gain more knowledge. I literally hosted my daughter's birthday party last weekend, right? We're in the pools at Sunsplash because I'm so young, like I mentioned last week. And we're out there getting beat by the sun with all these tons of kids. I'm having major anxiety, but I'm having conversations about real estate and mortgage loans. And it's crazy because you find the most oddest circumstances to have these real life conversations. And I'm sitting here saying, there is so much value in just being in the know, getting an understanding, right? Getting a real feel for where I am today and then where I want to be. So whether your timeline is in 3 months, 6 months, 2 years, we need to talk about it now,
Right.
today. Look, we need to start today because, as mentioned, when I was having these conversations in the pool, the kids' pool, was, you know what? This information she's sharing, we'd pay somebody to get, but
Mm.
she's just willfully giving this up. And so there's no gain to us until such time you're ready to take that leap and purchase,
Right.
right? But we're still building you up so that you can gear and arm yourself, especially when it comes to employment and how to structure things and just, rearrange your life. And so I feel like, being that I started homeownership very, very young, had I had a Mac and Lisa, whew, sky's the limits on what I would have done a lot younger. So get started today. That's pretty much what I have to say.
Thank you guys for being on today. As always, this is What's Good Sacramento, where we bring you local market information, what's hot, what's new, what's fun. Thank you guys for being on.
Thank you. See you next week.